I grew up around tattooing and in this industry. My father was a tattoo artist, and I'm basically second generation. And he had basically passed this on to me and kind of taught me about this art form. And between him and his friends who were also in this industry is where I learned a lot of the morals and respect. I have a lot of the traditional thoughts and thinking and tattooing.
So I have a Bachelor of Science degree in computer animation, and I worked in California and did visual effects for a while. Decided that was not exactly what I wanted to do. Came back home, and everyone in high school had always told me I need to learn how to tattoo, and I'd known Amber and Smokey. So I was like, sure, I have time. And I came down here and I started an apprenticeship with them. And that's how it all got started.
Well, I've been tattooing for about 2.5 years. I started it off kind of at my house, and then I met my master he's out of Texas. My buddy introduced us. I asked him for an apprenticeship, and he, gave me the okay, and then I started my apprenticeship then.
My philosophy is don't just do it because you're getting paid for it and it's money. Worry about what it's gonna look like, not the day it's done, but what it's gonna look like 10 years down the road. The person that's letting you tattoo on them, treat them with enough respect and not just take their money. It's not about money, it's about the art. Like, don't do anything on them that you wouldn't be willing to put on yourself and make it look good for as long as possible.
It does help having some sort of art skills, but at the same time, like, some artists will admit to you, like, tattooing comes super easy to them, but like drawing or something like that is just a little bit rough for them. But when they, put a machine in their hands, it just completely is like so much different. They do incredible work. But there's some people who admit to you, be like, yeah, I can do this awesome thing, but I can't draw a stick figure.
When you get your apprenticeship, most times they ask for a strong art background. I know a lot of artists that have actually went to art school and everything. I, for example, did not, but for the most part, yes, it is. It's basically, you have to be able to draw.
The sky's the limit in tattooing. You can pretty much accomplish anything, regardless whether it's trash polka style, new school, neo-traditional, traditional, realism, black and gray, color. Like, there's so many different styles. You're limitless in what you can do in this industry. If you can think it, you can do it, but at the same time, it has to be done in a way to where it's always gonna look good, not to where it's gonna fall apart 10 years later and the person's gonna wind up having to go cover it up because it looks horrible.
Someone would want my artwork on them permanently. I think it's like that whole artist standpoint where, you're your own worst critic. Most of the time, you end up hating something you've done, or you've thrown away so many pieces, and for someone to actually like come in and be like, no, I want something you have created yourself on me permanently, forever. You're just like, oh, really? Well, thank you.
As an artistry, every artist is has their own different style, different strengths, different weaknesses. For example, my strong suit is I specialize in black and gray lettering, and also in black and gray realism. So, with my background, we grew up, I started with a graffiti background and then transitioned to tattooing. With lettering especially, it's an art form in itself.
The inks, actually, they have improved. Like, the FDA has gotten involved in a lot of the inks before. It was basically just, if you could make ink and sell it, that was all the more that they needed. There wasn't any approval or FDA or anything involved in it, but now the FDA getting involved in the industry and making sure that every bottle of ink has an expiration date, and the FDA watches how it's made. They go through and make sure that you're not putting stuff in there that shouldn't be put into the human body, basically, or into skin.
There's a lot of people who are collectors. There's collectors with one single artist, so they only prefer one single artist. There's collectors and they enjoy so many different other people's work that they have a collection on their body of just artists that they've admired or they enjoy. And they like to have a piece of them on them with forever.
But most times, most people, when they come to me, they already come to me for the lettering. So the lettering's one of those things where it's like, well, I ask if it's for grandma, I do something a little more flowy.
Cafe here in town, and when I went outside after we were done, I was looking at the flower gardens they had in front of there, and I stole a couple of those flower ideas and used them in a drawing I did last night. So basically just anything I can see, I can draw. So I'll pull inspiration from almost anything that I can see or dream of.
My clients, Pinterest. You know, other artists, you get to see a bunch of other artists, but I'm also one of those big people that like, I will drive for good work. I will put in my effort for someone because I understand and I appreciate what they're doing. I guess it's an artist thing.
But a lot of times when I see it, I'm like, man, I should have done this or I should have done that. If it's something I did within, if it hasn't been within 6 months, I'll usually see it and think, man, I should have changed this, or I could have done this, or maybe I could have made this cooler. And I don't know, maybe that's the artist side of me. I always think I can do something better.
I draw my inspiration mostly from my background, California and everything like that. We're known for the really thin letters, you know, the really filigree, all the pretty swirls. So a lot of that I try to bring back into my art. When I'm drawing specific like designs, like on my buddy Nate, when I did I call it the Killer Bee. I did it from a rap group. So music is a big one. Music, I look at books a lot. I read quite a bit. I look at filigree books. I look at old textbooks, you know, different lettering. I look at different people's lettering styles, you know, signatures, things like that. And I just look at signs. So it's a little bit of everything. Music is a big one I use. You know, I feel like if I'm listening to something really hard, really harsh, I come up with more of that style that's very gritty. You know, it's kind of hard to read. If I'm listening to something more nostalgic or something more of a kind of say like a beach theme, you know, where it's just the sounds, I get something that's a little more flowy, something a little pretty, you know, like the pretty little script girls get on their collarbone. Sometimes I will get out. I won't tell anybody where I'm going. I just go on walks. So whatever I see there, okay, that would make something fun. So just kind of how I do it.
I got my first tattoo at 9:30 in the morning on my 18th birthday. Because that was the soonest I could get in. I had been waiting for it because my mom wouldn't sign the paper. Probably back then it was just that's what kids did, just to be the rebellious part, but I don't know. I just like different images and all that, so I just get them. If I think it looks cool, I do it. Some of them have personal meanings, not all of them.
This one, I've been going through a rough patch in my life. Losing some people, and the loss of Buster was really hard for me. So I sent her a picture from Pinterest.
Yeah, Pinterest.
And told her to do what she wanted with it. But it's a phoenix, because I'm trying to get over everything, just come out of it stronger.
15, 20 years ago, a guy that does what I do for a living, going and talking to like school officials and stuff on work sites and stuff, they probably would have totally, nope, you're not, you look too rough and crusty or whatever, but now they just, it doesn't matter. You know, people look at it, it's not, the outside appearance has nothing to do with what's on the inside or how you do your job or your work. if you do a good job, it doesn't matter what you look like.
It's not painful. It is. Have you ever been stung by a bee? Not as bad as that.
After a while, there's some times where it's just, yep, this is getting a little bit irritating for me, because I'm not one that necessarily thinks that it hurts, but when he goes through that same spot 8 or 9 times with a different shading, it starts to get annoying. But you also know too that he's putting the work into it. It's worth it in the end once it gets all healed up.
It does definitely feel different on different parts of your body.
I'm sure there's areas that I haven't been tattooed that would change my mind, but I don't know if I'm in it, like on the rib cage and stuff. People say that's like the worst spot. I don't know if I'm brave enough to do that, but I won't say never.
I had an armband, a tribal dorky armband that I got when I was 17, and it was disgusting and ugly, and I thought it was cool at the time, and then I got a little bit older and I'm like, that's gross. Like, I should have never got that. So Buster went ahead and fixed it up all pretty for me, and so now it looks much better. And you have to be an art, find somebody that's willing to cover something up.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's people out there, but I think around here there's not too many that just look at your leg and you kind of tell them, hey, I want to kind of do something like this, and then they just go to town. But it's also a big trust thing, I would think too. You know, I don't know if I would trust many people to just do that, but I've been around him and seen enough of his work that you just kind of give him a starting point and let him go. He's just really good because lots of stuff that he's done on me, didn't even start out on a piece of paper. He just started drawing and just went with it.
I try to use the contours of the person's body I'm working on. Instead of just having a flat tattoo put somewhere, I'll try to use the contours of their body to make the tattoo either pop out more or flow more with where it's at, just by using the contours of their body and how I draw it. One of the best things about being able to just draw right onto the skin and not use a pattern is the fact that you can draw it to fit different parts of the body. You don't have to worry about putting a pattern on and seeing if it looks okay. You can actually use that person's body as part of the art.
With Jerry, I think he's one of those guys that he's in it for not just money, he's in it for the art side of it, that if you come to him with a stupid idea, he's going to tell you it's a stupid idea, you know, and be like, let's do something along this line to make it look good too, not just because you want to have this image on you.
I think back in the early 2000s, when tattoos became more acceptable, I think people started getting them for a huge amount of reasons. I think people that were made fun of, people that were heavier set, that got picked on, they saw that as a way to feel like, if I get a tattoo, maybe they'll accept me more. Maybe I won't be that fat person or that shy person or that dorky person or that nerd, and maybe they'll accept me as being cool and I'll fit in. And I think that people thinking like that is kind of what started making everybody get tattooed, because you can go almost anywhere, and it doesn't happen as much now because everybody has tattoos, but if you went to a grocery store, the zoo, anywhere, someone would stop you and be like, can I see your tattoos, or can I see your tattoos? So then you're talking with somebody that you never talked to, but you're using that as a common bond or a common ground. And it made people feel like they had something in common with someone they wouldn't normally have in common with, like people that used to get made fun of or picked on. I think that it's easier for them to have tattoos on them and associate with somebody they wouldn't normally associate with because they have that common ground. Is kind of what I think. I think there's a million reasons why people get tattooed, but I think in society, the way society's become, a lot of it's acceptance with other groups of people they wouldn't normally be accepted to.
Yes, So I really like being like, you know, like original, just more in the fact of it is permanent. Pinterest is a huge thing nowadays, which is awesome. It gives us an idea of like what you're into, what you like, you know, better understanding of who you are. But I like when people give us an actual like freedom, because it's like, you know, we want to create something that's for you. Why would you want something on yourself that is literally on a bunch of other people? But we do occasionally have people who come in and they're like, no, I want this exact piece. And it's like, sure, that's fine. That's who you are. That's what means a lot to you. Then by all means. But I love when I get you know, artist freedom with everything, because then I don't know, it feels cooler in a way.
A lot of it, people think we're just drawing half the time. We're just tracing. It's not that. You know, a lot of us, like, especially if I have a client and I had the consultation, they want something specific. You know, they want something for their background. I do research on what they're wanting. For example, if someone wanted like a Cleopatra piece, I actually go back and I would research Cleopatra to design something custom, something that actually flows.
The best thing about tattooing, the people you meet. The artwork's great, but in all honesty, some of the best people I've ever met in my life, I would have never met had I not tattooed them. The people that I have closest in my life, I've met through tattooing. The artwork is great, and I take pride in what I do, but the best thing about tattooing is either stories or just becoming friends with the people that you work on, building that close relationship. A lot of times in body piercing and implants, you don't really spend very much time with your client, and you don't really get to know that person, whereas if you're talking with somebody about a design they want and you're spending time with them and sitting down, and then while you're tattooing on them, usually you're talking to them the whole time, you kind of get to know that person, and sometimes you build great relationships off of just tattooing on the public, and then the public winds up becoming your friends, and sometimes close friends. That's the best thing that I think there is about tattooing, is the relationships you build with the people that you wind up working on.
So we're not all scary people. The stereotypical, you know, tattoo artist, you know, the stereotype is, you know, we're all criminals, we've all done hard time, you know, we're all, so I think it'd be kind of nice to know that, you know, like, no, there's all different types of people who do it. We're not all very scary. Yeah, sometimes we have tattoos on our face or all that kind of stuff, but like Dan does a lot of stuff for like, you know, giving back to the community and all that kind of stuff. Like, we're not that person that people assume that we are, I guess.